The spark in the silence. The moon station was always quiet. Cold metal walls, humming wires, and blinking lights. Everything worked like a machine. And that's how Zariah liked it. Zariah was not human. She was tall, with deep violet skin and sharp silver eyes. Her hair was tied in braids that wrapped around her head like a crown. She never smiled. She never laughed. She just worked. And Leo? Leo was the opposite. A human technician, young and talkative, with messy brown hair and a small scar above his eyebrow. He joked too much, talked too loud, but he was good at fixing things, and even better at staying calm under pressure. They worked side by side in the control room of Station Theta 7. Zariah monitored the reactor core. Leo handled the cooling systems. They didn't talk much, only when needed. Zariah didn't like distractions. But somehow, Leo didn't bother her as much as others. That changed one morning. Leo walked into the control room holding a hot cup of synth coffee. He looked tired but cheerful. Zariah, already working, didn't look up. "You hear the news?" Leo said, sitting beside her. "We're getting a new engineer tomorrow. Female. Just transferred from Mars base." Zariah's hand paused on the control board. Just for a second, but Leo saw it. "She's supposed to be really smart," he added casually. "And rumor says she's pretty too." Zariah turned her head slowly. Her silver eyes locked on Leo's face. He blinked. "What?" he said, half laughing. "I was just saying crack." Zariah stood up so fast her chair flew back and slammed into the wall. Her fist came down on the control panel. Sparks burst out. The lights flickered. Warning beeps filled the room. Leo jumped up. "Zariah! What the hell?" She didn't answer. Her breathing was heavy. Her hands were clenched. She stared at the broken panel like she wanted to smash more. Then, without a word, she turned and walked out. Alarms kept beeping. Smoke rose from the shattered controls. Leo stared after her, shocked. What just happened? The emergency team came running in. "What happened?" one of them shouted. Leo didn't know what to say. She just snapped. The team shut off the power to the broken section. Oxygen levels were stable, but the damaged panel was part of the communication system. It would take hours to fix. Commander Bex arrived, short, stern, and always angry. She looked at the mess and narrowed her eyes. "Where is Zariah?" "She left," Leo said. "Didn't say anything. She attacked mission equipment. That's a serious violation." Leo nodded slowly, but something didn't feel right. Zariah was cold, yes. Distant, but not reckless. She was trained, disciplined. Why would one simple comment make her explode like that? Later that evening, Leo searched for Zariah in the dark hallway near the observation deck. He found her standing, alone, staring out at the stars. The glass in front of her showed the endless black space. Small moons glowed in the distance. "You okay?" Leo asked quietly. She didn't answer. "I didn't mean anything by what I said earlier," he continued. "It was just a dumb joke." Zariah turned her head slowly. Her eyes were softer, now sad even. "You humans speak without thinking," she said, voice low. "You forget words can cut." Leo frowned. "So, that made you angry?" She looked away. "No. It made me afraid." Leo stepped closer. He didn't understand. But he wanted to. "Afraid of what?" he asked. Zariah didn't reply. She only whispered, "Do not ask me again," and walked away, leaving Leo alone with more questions than answers. Back in his room, Leo lay on his bunk staring at the ceiling. Zariah was not just angry. She was hurt. But why? Was it really about the new female engineer? Or something deeper? He tapped on his data pad and pulled up her file. Most of it was restricted. But there were hints. One name showed up multiple times, Captain Lysra Vera. An old mission, a betrayal, and a note. Emotional trauma, restricted topic. Leo sat up, eyes wide. So that's it? Zariah didn't smash the panel because of jealousy. She did it because of pain, a pain he didn't understand yet. But he would, because now things were no longer silent. The silence in Station Theta 7 was no longer peaceful. It felt heavy, like the walls were holding their breath. Leo stood in the control room, staring at the broken panel Zariah had smashed. Sparks no longer flew, but the burnt wires still smelled sharp and sour. A soft red glow blinked from the emergency alert, warning that part of the communication system was still offline. Technicians from the night shift worked quietly around him. No one spoke much. Even the usually loud maintenance chief, Gravis, only mumbled instructions. Everyone had heard what happened. An alien officer, one of the most trained and trusted, had lost control. And over what? A single sentence? Leo rubbed his face and sighed. He still couldn't believe it. Zariah had always been calm. Cold, yes, but professional. She followed every rule, every code. She didn't even flinch when alarms blared or when they had close calls with asteroid fields. But now, just because he joked about a female engineer, she broke a mission-critical panel and walked out like a storm. He felt guilty. Maybe he said too much. Or maybe he touched a wound he didn't know was still open. Commander Bex called for a private meeting that morning. Leo sat stiffly in the command room, eyes fixed on the clean, shining table in front of him. Bex stood across from him, arms crossed. "Explain," she said. Leo cleared his throat. "It happened after I mentioned the new engineer. I just said, she might be smart, and maybe pretty. I was joking. And Zariah destroyed a control panel because of that?" Leo hesitated. "Yes. I mean, no. I don't know. She got upset. Really upset. I've never seen her like that." Commander Bex's eyes narrowed. "This isn't like her. Something triggered her. I think it was fear," Leo said slowly. "She told me later. She wasn't angry. She was afraid." Bex raised an eyebrow. "Afraid of what?" Leo shook his head. "She wouldn't say." Bex exhaled hard. "Zariah has served on more dangerous missions than any of us. She's faced battlefield drones and space pirates. And now she's afraid of a new crew member?" Leo didn't answer. Something told him it was deeper than that. Just then, the door opened. A woman stepped in, tall and confident. Short black hair, sharp eyes, and a red engineer's badge on her chest. This was the new transfer, Engineer Rena Marsh. "I heard I'm causing trouble before I even arrived," she said with a smile. Leo looked at her. She didn't look dangerous. She looked professional, kind even. But something in her presence made Leo's stomach twist, not because of her, but because of how Zariah might feel seeing her. Bex motioned toward a chair. "Sit. We'll discuss your role shortly." Rena sat beside Leo. "So, what happened with your alien friend?" "She's not..." Leo stopped, himself. "Zariah, she just reacted badly." Rena leaned back. "Aliens don't always process emotions like we do. Some of them bury things deep, like a bomb waiting to go off." Leo nodded slowly. "Maybe that's exactly what happened." Later, while Rena was being shown around the station, Leo checked the repair reports. The broken panel had short-circuited 3 major systems: external comms, base-to-shuttle logs, and one of the environmental backups. None of them were life-threatening for now, but if another system failed, things could get dangerous fast. He signed up to assist with the repair crew. He needed to do something, anything, to stay active, to stop thinking about Zariah's face when she hit the panel. It wasn't rage, it was pain. While repairing the comms line, Leo overheard 2 crewmen whispering. "They say she used to serve under a female captain." "Yeah, and that captain betrayed her during a critical op. Almost got her entire unit wiped. No wonder she flipped when someone mentioned another woman." Leo stayed quiet, pretending not to hear. But his mind was racing. The name he saw last night, Captain Lise Rivera. It matched. So Zariah's past wasn't just difficult, It was filled with betrayal. She lost people. Maybe people she cared about. And maybe she was starting to care again. About someone new. About him? The thought made Leo stop for a moment, tool still in hand. Could it be? Was that why she snapped? She was afraid, not of Rena herself, but of being hurt again? Losing someone again? Before he could think further, the main door slid open. Zariah entered the hallway, her eyes scanning the room. Her skin shimmered slightly under the lights, pale violet and glowing in places where her veins pulsed softly. She saw Leo. Her steps slowed. Their eyes met, and for a second, the noise around them faded. She spoke just one word. Why? Leo stood up. I didn't know. I didn't mean to bring anything back. Her voice was soft but firm. It wasn't about her, it was about you. Leo blinked. Me? Zariah looked at him with eyes that weren't angry anymore but scared. You were becoming important. Then she turned and walked away again. This time Leo didn't stop her. He just watched, heart pounding, mind racing, knowing now that this mission had become something far more complicated than fixing wires and following orders. It had become personal. Leo couldn't sleep that night. The words Zariah had said kept repeating in his head. You were becoming important. He had never expected anything like that from her. She had always been quiet, distant, and cold. But now, her eyes had shown something else, something deeper, something real. The room was dark, the lights dimmed to night mode, but Leo sat on his bunk with his datapad glowing in his hands. He had accessed the classified logs again. It wasn't exactly legal, but his clearance level was just high enough to peek through personal records. He needed answers. Not for curiosity, for understanding. He searched again for Captain Lizravara, the name tied to Zariah's past. The reports were few, heavily redacted, but he found one mission file that wasn't fully locked. Operation Ice Coil, Joint Task Force. One alien squad led by Zariah, one human squad led by Captain Vera. Their goal was to extract alien civilians trapped in a collapsing mining colony on a frozen planet. The mission had gone wrong. Zariah's unit had moved in first, expecting backup. But the humans delayed. Captain Vera changed the plan last minute, choosing a safer route for her own squad. By the time support arrived, Zariah had lost 3 soldiers. 2 others went missing. Only she came out carrying a child in her arms, burned, nearly frozen, but alive. Leo stared at the screen. The report listed strategic miscommunication as the cause, but the private remarks from the alien command said more. Zariah refused to speak for 2 weeks. Emotional trauma, deep distrust of human leadership, especially female officers. Now it made sense. Zariah wasn't angry at Rena. She didn't even know her. But the idea of another female figure replacing or taking attention, especially in Leo's life, reopened old wounds. Deep ones. He closed the file and leaned back, heart heavy. Zariah had buried her pain, like all soldiers do. But something had changed. Maybe working with him slowly made her feel safe again. Maybe she was letting her guard down. And his careless joke, just a sentence, tore open everything she had locked away. The next morning, Leo found her in the greenhouse module. It was the quietest place on the station, full of alien plants with glowing leaves and soft pollen floating in the air. Zariah stood near a tall crystal vine, her fingers tracing its branches. She didn't look at him as he walked in, but she didn't leave either. I read the ice coil report, Leo said softly. Zariah's hands froze on the vine. Then she dropped them. You had no right, she whispered. I know. But I had to understand, Leo replied. You've been carrying that for years, haven't you? She turned slowly. Her face was calm, but her eyes were tired. You humans see pain as a weakness, but my kind, we carry it like a scar. Not to hide, but to remind. Leo stepped closer. Then why hide it from me? She looked at him, for a long time. Because I was afraid and that if you knew, you would walk away like she did. Leo's chest tightened. I'm not her. I know, Zariah said quietly. But fear doesn't always listen to reason. They stood in silence. Around them, the soft glow of alien plants flickered gently, like stars trapped in vines. Zariah finally broke the silence. I saw something in you. Something I haven't seen in a long time. A kind soul. A patient heart. But when you spoke of another female, I felt it all slipping away again. Leo looked down. It was just a stupid joke. I didn't mean anything. No, she said. But it reminded me of how easily I was replaced. How easily trust can be broken. Leo reached out slowly, careful not to scare her. His hand hovered near hers. I don't want to replace you, he said. I want to understand you. Her fingers touched his, just barely. A faint glow passed between their skin, like static, or energy, but soft. Warm. This is forbidden, she whispered. What is? Feeling this much, for someone not of your kind. Leo smiled. Then I guess we're both breaking rules. Zariah's lips curved, just a little. A soft, almost invisible smile. It was the first he had ever seen from her. Suddenly the intercom crackled. All personnel report to main control. External storm detected. Power routes unstable. Leo pulled back. We have to go. Zariah nodded, already moving. But as they left the greenhouse, something was different between them. No longer just co-workers. No longer cold silence. There was a bond now. One born from pain, truth, and the courage to face old memories. And as the storm approached, it would test that bond more than either of them knew. The storm outside was not natural. It was a magnetic disturbance sweeping across the moon's surface, violent and sharp like angry waves made of lightning. Inside Station Theta 7, the walls creaked, lights flickered, and systems warned of rising energy surges. But the real storm was not outside, it was growing inside the control room. Leo and Zariah arrived at the same time. The team was already scrambling. Commander Bex barked orders while Rena, the new engineer, stood at the backup console, typing fast with her, sleeves rolled up, sparks flew from the panel beside her. Backup batteries dropping, she shouted. If we don't reroute power, the medical bay shuts down in 15 minutes. Leo ran to a nearby console. On it, he yelled, fingers moving quickly. He glanced across the room and saw Zariah watching Rena. Her eyes narrowed, calm but unreadable. Rena turned toward Leo. You handle the coolant grid. I'll stabilize the heat lines. Leo nodded. Let's do it. Zariah's jaw tightened. Suddenly, a blast of static energy shot from the wall behind Rena. She flinched and stumbled. Leo rushed toward her without thinking. You okay? I'm fine, she muttered, brushing his hand off lightly. But Zariah had already moved. In a flash, she was between them, tall, still, and burning with silent fire. Leo froze. Zariah, her voice was low. She is not your mate. What? Rena blinked. What's happening? Zariah didn't take her eyes off Leo. You touched her. Leo looked around. It was just to help her. She almost got shocked. Commander Beck stepped in. Zariah, control yourself. This is a crisis, not a drama circle. Zariah turned slowly, eyes cold. My control is what keeps this station alive. No, Leo said firmly. Right now, you're losing control. This isn't about the storm. It's about me and Rena, isn't it? The room went silent. Zariah's voice shook, just slightly. She reminds me of the one who left us behind, who made us watch our friends die. You wouldn't understand. Leo stepped closer. I do, Understand, I read the file, I know what Captain Vera did. Zariah's eyes widened, then narrowed. You had no right. I had no choice. Leo shouted. You won't talk about it. You won't let anyone near. But you expect us to trust you when you hide everything? Zariah's breath was sharp. Around her the lights dimmed, reacting to her alien aura. She was powerful even without touching anything. But her power was no longer scary. It was wounded. Leo's voice softened. You're not alone, Zariah. Not anymore. I'm here. Even if you're afraid, I'm not walking away. Zariah turned her back on them and walked out. Rena let out a sigh. Is she always like this? Leo shook his head slowly. No. Only when she's hurt. An hour passed. The storm raged harder, but the station held. Systems were stable. For now. Rena returned to her quarters. Beck stayed in the command room. But Leo went looking for Zariah again. He found her. On the lower maintenance deck, sitting alone, legs pulled to her chest in the shadows of the giant water tanks. A place where no one went unless they needed silence. She didn't look up when he approached. Her head was resting against the cold wall, eyes half closed. I used to sit like this after ice coil, she said quietly. Back then, it felt like the galaxy had turned its back on me. Leo sat beside her without a word. I never told anyone how it felt, she continued, to carry the bodies of my own soldiers, to look for rescue and see nothing. Leo's throat tightened. I'm sorry. Zariah looked at him. When you joked about another woman, something broke inside. I thought, he'll forget. Me too. Just like she did. Leo looked into her silver eyes. I'm not Captain Vara. I'm not like her. I know, Zariah whispered. But fear doesn't always listen. They sat in silence. The only sound was the soft humming of machines around them. Then Leo did something he had never done before. He gently placed his hand on hers. Zariah didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned her head on his shoulder. For a long moment, the silence was warm. You're allowed to be angry, Leo said softly, but not at yourself. Zariah closed her eyes. Then let me be angry at the stars. They took everything from me. Leo smiled faintly. We'll take it back, piece by piece. She opened her eyes. Together? He nodded. Together. Back. In the control room, Commander Bex watched the screens and raised an eyebrow as the power levels stabilized again. The storm was passing. But something else had changed. Zariah returned later with Leo. She said nothing. But when she passed Rena, she gave a small nod. Nothing more. It was enough. The tension didn't disappear overnight. But the air felt lighter. And Leo knew. This wasn't the end of their problems, it was only the beginning, but now they faced it together. 2 days passed after the storm. The moon's surface calmed, but inside Station Theta 7 things still felt unsettled. The crew acted normal, repairing systems, logging reports, running tests, but Leo noticed the glances, whispers. Most of them circled around Zariah. She had returned to her duties without a word. She stood at her post like nothing had happened. But Leo could feel the difference. Her movements were slower, her focus wasn't as sharp, and she avoided everyone, including him. Not because she was angry, because she was afraid of what she'd already shared. Leo didn't push her. Instead, he worked harder, trying to give her space while still being nearby. But trouble didn't care about space. It came anyway, fast, silent, and deadly. It started as a flicker in the lights. A few random beeps from the environmental panel. Then, without warning, the entire station shuddered. All lights turned red. Sirens wailed. Oxygen level warnings flashed on every screen. The backup systems, meant to last 20 years, had failed. System breach in core sector, someone shouted over the intercom. We're losing internal pressure. Leo ran straight to the main generator room, his boots slamming against the floor. Zariah was already there, fingers moving across the panel, trying to bypass the main grid. Her face was calm, but sweat rolled down her temple. I can't access the secondary power lines, she said sharply. They've been overloaded. Leo opened the side panel. Wires were burnt black. A fuse had exploded, damaging 2 key circuits. Someone needs to go into the conduit shaft and reroute the backup manually, he said, heart pounding. Zariah turned toward him. That shaft is unstable. The pressure inside, I'll go, Leo said. Zariah froze. You could die. Leo gave her a small smile. You said we do things together, remember? You keep the system steady. I'll crawl through the dark stuff. She stared at him for a moment, her eyes unreadable. Then she reached into the emergency kit, pulling out a heat shield, a helmet, and a cable lock. If your vitals drop, I'm pulling you out. Deal, he said, already suiting. Up inside the conduit shaft, it was like entering the stomach of a dying beast. Steam hissed from pipes. Every wall was hot to the touch. Lights flickered. Leo crawled slowly, sweat pouring down his back. Zariah, can you hear me? He said into the helmet mic. Reading you. Her voice replied in his ear. Calm. Strong. I'm reaching the junction box now. Careful. The charge buildup may be unstable. Leo opened the small hatch at the end of the shaft. Inside, sparks danced like angry fireflies. One of the core wires had snapped. If it touched metal, it could explode. Manual override engaged, Leo muttered, bypassing the fuse. Now. Static crackled. For a moment, the lights in the entire station shut off, completely dark. Then, like a breath held too long finally being released, they came back, green stable. Zariah's voice came through again. You did it. But Leo didn't answer. Leo. Silence. Leo, respond. She slammed her fist into the panel. Leo. Then, faintly, his voice. I'm okay, just a little cooked. The cable lock dragged his limp body out of the shaft. As soon as he cleared the opening, Zariah dropped to her knees beside him. She tore off his helmet. His face was pale, his lips cracked. But he was breathing. You stubborn fool, she whispered. His eyes fluttered open. Told you, I'd fix it. She touched his cheek gently. You scared me. I scare myself sometimes, he joked weakly. She didn't smile. Not this time. Instead, she leaned down and pressed her forehead to his. An alien gesture of deep care, normally done only between bonded pairs. He let his eyes close, smiling faintly. Does this mean we're friends now? She answered softly. It means I won't let you die. Hours later, Leo was recovering in the med bay. The lights were stable. Air was clean again. The crisis had passed, but the bond between them had grown stronger than wires or code. Rena visited briefly, bringing him water. You're insane, you know that? He laughed hoarsely. Tell me something I don't know. But she paused before leaving. Zariah didn't leave your side for an hour, not even to breathe properly. Leo looked at the ceiling. She's not what people think. No, Rena agreed. She's much more. That night, Leo sat on his bed, holding a small piece of the burnt wire he had saved from the shaft. A reminder. Zariah entered without knocking. She looked at him, then at the wire in his hand. You kept it? He nodded. It nearly killed me. Seems fair to keep it. She walked closer. You risked everything. So did you, he replied. She hesitated. Then softly she said, I don't fear the memory anymore. Leo tilted his head. Why not? Because now I have something stronger than memory, she said, stepping closer. I have you. And this time, when she reached for his hand, she didn't pull away. Zariah had always followed rules. Her people lived by structure. No emotional ties during active service. No deep bonds with other species, and absolutely no physical connection without formal rites. Yet here she was, standing in Leo's room at midnight holding his hand. No right. No rule. Just choice. Leo's hand was warm and calloused, still bandaged from the power conduit injury. He looked up at her with tired eyes, but they held something else too: calm, kindness, trust. The room was silent. Outside, the station hummed in sleep mode. The emergency lights were soft and golden. The silence between them wasn't cold anymore, it was full, heavy with feelings neither of them had spoken aloud. "I should leave," Zariah whispered, though she didn't move. Leo didn't let go. "Then why are you still here?" She looked down at their hands. "Because it feels right, and that scares me." Leo nodded slowly. "Same here." He didn't ask her to stay. He didn't pressure her, but she didn't leave. Instead, she pulled the chair closer and sat beside him. Her eyes wandered across his shelves, half-done repair tools, a bent photo of Earth's mountains, a small alien carving he had found in the supply crate. "You decorate like a lost boy," she said softly. Leo chuckled. "I am a lost boy. Aren't we all out here?" Zariah smiled faintly. "I used to think this station was just another assignment, but it became something else." "A home?" Leo asked. She didn't answer, but she didn't say no either. A few hours passed like that, just breathing the same air, just being. Sometimes closeness didn't need words. Sometimes silence spoke more than speeches. Suddenly, the alarm buzzed once, then cut off. Leo sat up. "That's not a drill." Zariah was already on her feet. "System glitch or false trigger?" Leo grabbed his jacket. "Let's find out." The corridor outside was quiet. Too quiet. No crew running. No lights blinking. That wasn't normal. They reached the security hub and found Rena slumped over the console, unconscious. "Rena." Leo knelt beside her. She was breathing, but dazed. Zariah scanned the system. "There's a foreign code injected into the power grid. This was sabotage." Leo's eyes widened. "By who?" The answer came on screen. "Remote command attempt detected. Channel origin. Classified ship ID. Human command authority override. Zariah." Growled low in her throat. "Someone from Earth Command is trying to seize control of the station." Leo felt cold. But why? Before they could think, the comm system buzzed again. A male voice, distorted, spoke calmly. "Station Theta 7 is now under special investigation. Prepare for remote reset and data sweep. This is an internal matter." "Comply," Zariah hissed. "They're trying to wipe everything. All logs, all personal files, even the footage of the power failure." Leo stood slowly. "They want to hide something." "Yes," Zariah agreed. "And they see us as a threat." A sudden jolt rocked the station. Emergency lights flashed red. The backup reactor, just restored, began heating dangerously fast. "They're forcing a system crash," Zariah said. "It'll destroy the station's memory banks and cause a full shutdown." Leo moved to the nearest panel. "Then we stop them." Zariah paused. "This will require full override access. You and I will have to physically rewire the control core." He glanced at her. "You still trust me?" She nodded once. "With my life." They moved fast, cutting through passageways, dodging burst pipes and flickering lights. Smoke curled through the vents and alarms screamed from all sides. The control core chamber was located beneath the generator deck, rarely visited, always sealed. Zariah and Leo dropped into the hatch, their boots landing hard. The core pulsed with energy, dangerously unstable. If they didn't fix this within minutes, the entire station would lock down and evacuate. Protocols would erase everything. Zariah pulled open the core shell. "We need to swap the neural plug." "It's fused." Leo grabbed his toolkit. "There's no extra, I'll make one." She stared. "You'll build a neural plug from scrap?" "Got a better idea?" She actually smiled. "No, and I wouldn't trust anyone else to try." Working side by side, they rebuilt the connector using wires, gel fuses, and parts from Leo's own suit. Time was running out. Heat rose. Zariah's skin began to glow from the inside, reacting to stress. She coughed slightly. "You need to..." Hurry. Leo finished the last weld. Done. Zariah plugged it in. Nothing. Then, click. The core light turned green. All systems stabilized. The AI voice confirmed. They had done it. But Leo collapsed, exhausted. His chest heaved. Zariah knelt beside him. You're overheating, she said, checking his vitals. He smiled weakly. Guess I'm not as tough as you. She looked down at him, then did something unexpected. Zariah placed both hands on his chest and closed her eyes. Her body began to glow brighter, light streaming from her fingertips into his skin. He gasped as a warm wave flooded through him. What are you doing? He whispered. Sharing energy, she said. My kind. We can heal others, but only those we care for. The light faded slowly. Leo's breath became steady again. His vision cleared. You saved me, he said softly. Zariah's voice was low. No, you saved me first. They sat together on the floor as systems around them rebooted. The crisis was over, for now. But what had formed between them was no longer a quiet partnership. It was something deeper, something dangerous, something real. The station was quiet again, but it was a new kind of silence. A heavy silence like a calm after war. Inside the control deck of Theta 7, systems hummed with stable energy. The lights were green, the temperature balanced, and the air clean. But Leo knew things would never be the same. He stood alone by the observation window, staring out at the gray moon surface. His body still ached from the heat exposure. Zariah's alien energy had saved him, but it left a strange warmth in his chest. Not pain. Something else. Something gentle. Alive. He wasn't alone for long. Zariah entered without sound, her shadow stretching beside him. She wore a clean uniform now, her violet skin no longer glowing with stress but with something softer. She stood beside him, watching the stars without saying a word. Rena's okay, Leo said, breaking the silence. She's already working in the tech bay again. Zariah nodded. They're going to send a team from Earth Command, he added, to investigate what happened. I know, she said quietly. And when they come, they'll ask questions. About us. About me. Leo turned to her. I'll tell them the truth. That you saved this station. That without you we'd be dead. Zariah looked at him, eyes soft. That's not the truth they want to hear. He frowned. Then what? They want to hear that I'm dangerous, she said. That I lost control. That I attacked a system out of jealousy. They'll twist it. Use it as proof aliens can't work side by side with humans. That we're ruled by instincts. That we don't belong. Leo stepped forward. Then I'll fight it. Even if it cost you your rank? He didn't hesitate. Yes. She watched him for a long moment. Then she whispered, Why? He smiled sadly. Because when you almost died saving me, I realized something. I didn't want to live in a world where you weren't in it. Zariah's lips parted slightly. Her eyes glimmered, but she didn't cry. Her kind didn't cry with tears. They cried with energy, with color, and now her skin glowed with soft gold along her arms and neck. She reached forward and touched his chest right over his heart. You are not just kind, you are brave, and you've already changed me. Suddenly the station's main alert chimed again, not red this time, but yellow. A proximity warning. They both turned to the console. Leo tapped the display. A ship's approaching, not from Earth Command. No ID. Zariah's voice sharpened. Stealth signals detected, cloaking tech. That's military grade. They exchanged a look. This wasn't a visit. Within moments, the ship docked. 3 figures entered the station through the lower airlock, heavily armored, not in Earth colors. Private agents, unmarked. Zariah and Leo stood at the end of the hallway, ready. The lead man stepped forward, helmet off, cold eyes, sharp smile. I'm here for Officer Zariah. We have orders to detain her for emotional instability and endangerment of mission equipment. Step aside. Leo moved in front of her. She's not going anywhere. The man raised his brows. You'd risk a charge of insubordination for an alien? I'd risk a lot more, Leo replied. She saved all our lives. Twice. The man chuckled. Is that what she told you? Cute. He turned to his team. Take her. The guard stepped forward. Zariah didn't move. She placed a hand on Leo's shoulder and stepped in front of him. Her posture shifted, calm, commanding. You want to take me? She said. Then record this. She held up her wrist and activated her personal log. I, Officer Zariah of Unit Delta 3, hereby record this illegal attempt by non-Earth Command agents to abduct an Allied officer without trial. Any violence from this point forward will be broadcast directly to the Moon Treaty Council. One of the guards froze. The other stepped back slightly. The leader narrowed his eyes. You think anyone will believe you? Leo stepped beside her. They won't believe you, especially when they find out you tried to shut down the station remotely. The man stared at them, then turned away. We'll be back, he said, motioning to his team. No, Zariah said calmly. You won't. Behind her, the hallway doors locked down. Emergency override activated. The station had learned who its enemies were. The intruders left. Silence returned. Leo turned to Zariah. You could have fought them, but you didn't. She looked at him. Fighting is easy. Restraint is harder. And this is worth protecting. He smiled. You mean us? I mean what we're becoming, she said softly. Later that night, they returned to the observation room. Rena joined them, standing on the other side of the glass. No more tension, no more fear. Just quiet respect. The stars outside blinked like they always did, but something inside the station had changed forever. Zariah didn't need to speak her feelings. Leo already understood. Some bonds are silent, some are unspoken, but they are stronger than steel. And now, whatever came next, they would face it together.